until we see some speed boosts from the Espathra, the speed boost ability, allowing it to just keep getting faster the longer it stays on the field. But the really interesting piece is, of course, the Vivian with no Protect, but nothing to punish the lack of Protect on Max's side. No Fake Out. Really, the only Fake Out Pokemon on either of these teams is the Kangaskhan on Alek's side, as we're going to see the leads here. It is Sylveon and Farigiraf staring down the Sableye and Espathra. I think it's pretty clear what both of these players want to accomplish with these leads.
Yeah, so very quickly we're probably going to be seeing this Espathra trying to get set up with the Calm Minds, maybe Baton Pass into something. But no, the Encore and Disable that the Sableye want to go for, not going to be on the table in front of this Farigiraf, and probably just going to want to set up Light Screen in front of these two Pokemon, as we see a Helping Hand come out onto the Sylveon to boast that offense, as we do see the Light Screen come up. The Calm Mind going for the Espathra, going to start taking less and less damage from that Sylveon. The Helping Hand offsetting one of these things, either the Calm Mind or the Light Screen, if you want to look at it that way. Rosalie Berry going to activate on the Sableye, going to take this Hyper Voice pretty decently comfortably and be able to set up Reflect next turn. Again, because of that Farigiraf, not going to be able to go for the Prankster Encore or Disable that it usually wants to go for. And I think we can expect a Trick Room to go up this coming turn. Although without the Helping Hand... Oh, never mind. I forgot about the Rosalie Berry. With the Rosalie Berry gone now, a non-Helping Hand Hyper Voice would KO there. But we are just going to see the Politoed switch in for the Sableye. And another Calm Mind on the Espathra is going to go up.
Yep. Both of these players, it looks like, taking a little bit more proactivity here on this turn. Of course, not a ton of damage coming through from that Hyper Voice on the Sylveon, but like you mentioned, Jake, the Farigiraf getting the Trick Room up here, now reversing the speed orders and really putting these speed boosts for Espathra to work against it. Now, if only there was a way for Alek to actually get rid of that Pokemon before it's able to get its Baton Pass off. Unfortunately, with +2 stages of special defense and the Light Screen up against these two special attackers, I'm just not sure if there's a way. There could be, I would say the closest would be a Helping in Hyper Beam from this Sylveon. May be able to get that done against the Espathra, but personally, I just don't know. Of course, it depends on how these Pokemon are trained, and I'm not as certain with my Sylveon damage calculations through Light Screen with a couple of special defense boosts. It feels pretty difficult, but it looks like Alek is going to go for the big swing here. It's the Helping Hand onto the Sylveon and just another Hyper Voice. Ooh. Based on that damage, it does look like a Hyper Beam into that Espathra may have been able to get that done, but no, it's going to allow both of these Pokemon on Max's side to survive through the turn. Psych Up from Politoed, copying over those speed and special attack and special defense boosts, while the Baton Pass goes into the Archaludon and just putting some very, very bulky Pokemon across from the Sylveon and Farigiraf.
Yeah, looking at this matchup before I even saw the Pokemon hit the field, I targeted out this Archaludon in my head and was like, what does Alek have to hit this really hard? Super effectively, you have Garchomp with Stomping Tantrum. You have Low Kick on the Kangaskhan and the Kingambit, but Archaludon not that heavy, only taking, I believe, 80 base-powered Low Kicks, as we are going to see a Helping Hand from this Farigiraf into the Sylveon, probably going to go for a Hyper Beam into one of these Pokemon, and we are going to see it go into the Archaludon and do not even half at +2 special defense with the Light Screen up, taking it like a champ, and is able to just fire off with a +2 Flash Cannon Sylveon and get the one-hit KO.
Yeah, honestly, that turn works out decently well for Alek. At least that exchange, the Sylveon was going to be just kind of a sitting duck the next turn, as it would have been forced to recharge after that Hyper Beam, but the Farigiraf also taking the +2 Weather Ball from the boost that the Politoed is psyched up, taking that pretty well, I would say. I mean, taking it at all and not fainting, I think, is a pretty big win. But now for Alek, you're really in a tough spot. Of course, you do bring out the Kingambit. That is going to be a way that you can hit the Archaladon super effectively with your low kick, but like you mentioned, Archaladon deceptively light, and because of being hit by that Hyper Beam in this last turn, now also has one increased stage on its defense.
Yeah, it's a really precarious spot for Alek here. Not able to get the damage on the board that he would like to, and without, you know, those Calm Minds really offsetting Archaladon's relatively low special defense. And now its defense is up. So the Pokemon in the back that are on Alek's team all appear to be physical attackers, other than that Vivian that can only do resisted damage to it. Another helping hand from this Farigiraf, clapping its hooves. A Kowtow Cleave going to go into this Politoed, and it is going to pick up the KO. You know, no Reflect Up, the Politoed at pretty low HP there. And an Electroshock just going to get this Archaladon to a disgusting +3 special attack at this point. Going to go into that Kingambit, and I doubt it's going to survive this one.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, we don't know where it's exactly targeting yet, but no, that Kingambit is a pretty juicy target there, and
with
you know,
the critical
hit just for a little bit of icing on the cake. You know, I would imagine this Archaladon not terribly worried about the Farigiraf on the other side of the field that only can hit it with resisted attacks, the Twin Beam and the Hyper Voice. We will get now to see Alek's fourth Pokemon, and you know, if you're just taking a bird's eye view at this, it doesn't look like the end of the world. You know, you do still have, it's a 2-on-3 as far as total Pokemon count here, but looking at the state of things, last turn of Trick Room, the Archaladon is pretty free just to protect. We're, you know, I was going to say led to assume that, you know, based on the Trick Room nature of Alek's team versus, you know, Max having generally some quicker pieces, that the Archaladon would be faster, but the Archaladon also just has 2 speed boosts that were passed by the Espathra as well. It's going to guarantee to be faster than this Kangaskhan.
Ooh.
Helping hand into Fake Out into the Sableye. Very interesting. Oh wait, really it's the most damage you could put on the board at that turn with the Archaladon going for a Protect there. It's a very interesting play from Alek's end, and you know, it did work out pretty well. Now you're just right back to it with no Trick Room left on your side, and the Archaladon, the fastest thing in the field, ready to just start taking more knockouts.
Yeah, I think Alek going for a bit of a Hail Mary there, thinking, you know, if I'm able to get out this strong Fake Out, the scrappy Fake Out into the Sableye, maybe I can get the KO. Reflect won't go up, but as we see it does, as the Fake Out didn't take the KO. The only issue is I think you already needed some critical hits with this Kangaskhan into the Archaladon slot to get through the 1 defense boost it has. Because every time you're hitting it right now, you're about to give it 2 boosts to its defense. So it needed to get critical hits here anyways. And with critical hits, breaking Reflect, I don't think it so much mattered. Even if this Sableye went down, I think it was pretty doomed, unfortunately. But I do think it was the best play that Alek had available.
Yeah, certainly. And you know, even on that position, even if you weren't able to get the critical hit with your Kangaskhan on the Archaladon there, at that point it's already a lost end game, because you would be clicking a low kick in front of this Sableye that is no longer blocked by Armor Tail. You know, the Sableye has the opportunity just to encore into low kick, and now you can never deal damage back to it.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the many strengths of this team that Max is running, is that not only do they have this extraordinarily strong, you know, Calm Mind Baton Pass mode that you can pass into, you know, the Archaladon, the Floette, the Politoed, all of these strong special attackers, but you also have the just game-winning set of lines at the end of the game, if you so choose, with Encore and Disable, with priority from Prankster on Sableye.
Yeah. A lot of control that Max has with this Sableye, just to lock out whatever, any opponent he's against, Alek included, from doing the damage. I think right here, Alek's going to have to go to the drawing board and figure out how to get through this Espathra's setup right from the start.
Yes.
And I mean, the biggest thing you would think is, you know, just bring in the Kingambit. But you do have to be careful there. If Kingambit is not able to break it in 1 hit, as we do know the Espathra has the Colbur Berry, and then if you Baton Pass to the Archaladon back, now all of a sudden you're having to deal with the physical end of Archaladon's defense. It's a really rough matchup for Alek here.
Yes, and I do like this adjustment from Alex, and, you know, I think, just like you mentioned, Jake, when you're staring down a strategy like this that takes a few turns to get going, certainly on Max's end, that the only way that you can truly break that is to disrupt early in the game. And this is the most disruptive lead that Alek has available to him. You have your scrappy fake out on your Kangaskhan before you Mega Evolve to stop the Sableye from doing anything this turn. You have a potentially, it's 97% accurate just about Sleep
Yeah.
Powder with Compound Eyes that can go also into the Sableye that can't protect itself, or into the Espathra this turn if you so choose. You will allow the Espathra, by clicking Fake Out into Sableye, to get the Calm Mind up this turn. But Vivian, if you can put a few Pokemon to sleep, which this is a fantastic start, you have at least some leeway in this matchup. Now the Espathra either is going to be put to sleep this turn, most likely, or has to just switch out after giving one baton pass to its partner.
Yeah, and I think something that's really cool here is because Sableye only has status moves, with that Prankster, it already took its turn after the fake out, and Vivian was able to put it to sleep without it taking a turn of sleep. So it's forced to sleep here. And Espathra, I mean, it can baton pass, but whatever's coming in there is definitely going to have to eat a sleep powder, which is not ideal for Max here.
Yes, it is going to be this Archaladon once again hitting the field, and rather it's a Pollen Puff going into the Sableye slot. That is honestly more damage than I expected a Pollen Puff to do to a Sableye, but not taking the advantage of getting the Sleep Powder into that slot, the Espathra, just getting the baton pass. You're still staring down an Archaladon even after a pretty effective trade. You still have yet to take any damage on your side of the field if you're Alek. You're still staring down an Archaladon with an increased stage of special attack, special defense, and speed. Yes, you do have your Sylveon on the field, which is one of your better options to hit the Archaladon neutrally, but really the Sylveon is a better late-game answer to the Archaladon, I feel. If you're clicking Hyper Voice into it now, you're giving it stamina boosts to raise its special defense, or raise its physical defense, before your Kangaskhan or before your Kingambit come back onto the field. Whereas kind of doing it backwards would allow you to hit it with strong physical attacks first before it gets any boosts on that side, and then bring in your special attackers later.
Yeah, I think what we just saw was a sequence of calls, right? Alek there expecting the Espathra to go for a Protect, give Sableye another turn to wake up, going for the Pollen Puff into there instead of the Sleep Powder into the Espathra or the incoming Pokemon here, Archaladon. And then I think Max, by that same concept, thinking the Sylveon might be going for a Protect here, let the Vivian put it to sleep first. And we saw the Flash Cannon go into the Vivian, which would have knocked it down to its Focus Sash had it gone low enough, but actually just hanging on with 4 HP.
Yeah, and it might show you a little bit about how these Pokemon are trained. Even with the Focus Sash, maybe the Vivian has a little bit of investment into its HP or its special defense, or, this Archaladon, maybe it just doesn't have all that much investment into its special attack stat.
Yeah, we know it is a calm Archaladon, so boosting up that special defense rather than modest to raise its special attack or bold to raise its defense, opting to go all in on that special defense. And I mean, last match we didn't see it take very much damage from a Helping Hand Hyper Voice.
The Helping Hand Hyper Beam didn't do all that much. We do see the Espathra naturally going to outspeed the Vivian, knock it out this turn. Max's play from the turn prior proving fruitful here, as it's going to be a Hyper Beam plus 1 special defense into this Archaladon. That's a pretty hefty amount of damage.
Wow. Yeah, so quite a bit of damage, but not enough damage, was it? As this Archaladon does stay asleep, is going to stay on the field for one more turn, possibly wake up. Probably going to see a Kangaskhan come in and start threatening a Fake Out and some damage. Actually, it's the Farigiraf here. So wanting to get up that Trick Room in the face of these two now much faster Pokemon. But something to be careful of is if we see the Espathra get this Farigiraf 2/2 special defense, if the Archaladon is to wake up this turn, it could get the knockout from there.
I would imagine it would, with the +1 special attack on the Archaladon, and if it were -2 special defense on the Farigiraf. it really does come down to, now that the Archelodon has taken its one mandatory turn of sleep, it's a coin flip. It's a 50-50 chance for the Archelodon to wake up this turn. It would be guaranteed to wake up the turn after, hinging the entire game here, which I think is really Alek's best chance. The Illumina Crash goes into the Frigoraph, looking for the Archelodon, and it does wake up. The Dragon Pulse going into this Frigoraph with all of those boosts, all of those drops, will knock it out. And then we're just left for the Sylveon to recharge after that extremely hyper beam the turn prior.
Yeah, so great play by Max, recognizing what his win condition was. And from here, Alek, might not have the gas in the tank to handle this Archelodon from here. There is still a bit of a chance if the Sylveon is able to survive some attack, this Flash Cannon, or if this Kangaskhan. No, I don't think this Kangaskhan can outspeed even because of the speed boosts. This Kangaskhan isn't going to be able to do it. We'll have to see if Sylveon can take the +1 Flash Cannon. I imagine it can with how much special defense Sylveon does have, as we are just going to see Espather protect in the face of this Fake Out.
Yeah, I would imagine protects for both Pokemon on Max's side. Nothing for them to really fear. For Alek's Pokemon, whether that would be some form of setup or speed control, it's pretty straightforward here. You can just protect both. You'll still be faster with both of your Pokemon after this turn, and then you can just start clicking those same buttons. You can just do the Illumina Crash plus an attack into the Kangaskhan. Really, it would come down to where does this attack go? If it is potentially a double up into a protect from the Sylveon this turn, or if the Sylveon can land some critical hits, as Alek hinging the rest of this game on this call, clicking detect on the Sylveon, but Max not falling for it. Lumina Crash into Kangaskhan, a Pokemon that is running 4 attacks, cannot protect, and will have to take another attack to knock it out.
Yeah, so I think Alek recognizing that had the Lumina Crash and the Flash Cannon gone into that slot, Sylveon would have gone down, and that would have spelled absolutely the end. But Max not taking the bait, going right into that Kangaskhan and ending the game on the spot. Max, I believe, without Mega Evolving at all.
Yeah, we never saw the Mega Pokemon on Max's side.
With no Mega able to take that game very, very handily.
Yeah,
or that match, rather.
That's something that, in the team builder, there are only so many things you can do for strategy like that. It's really, coming up with your game plan, finding something that's comfortable for, really just dissecting the Espather early on in the game, not allowing it. And certainly Alek improved game 1 to game 2, allowing only the 1 Calm Mind boost instead of the 2.
Mm-hmm.
But it just goes to show how strong this strategy is. And again, credit to Max for how effectively they piloted this strategy. Again, winning without even showing a Pokemon capable of Mega Evolution in this set.
It was, in my eyes, it was pretty one-sided at team preview. I think Max had the advantage. Alek's team not really having a great way around that Archelodon, as I said early on. And Max really pushing that advantage.
An impressive game. Max now 4-0, has not quite locked their spot into the top cut of this tournament today, but one more win will do that for them. Alek, of course, by no means out of it. Any trainer with a record of 1 loss or fewer guaranteed to go into top cut. Still 2 rounds left here in our tournament, the Swiss rounds. So we'll see you again right after this break.